Oh, good morning, Crystal. Actually, good afternoon, Crystal.
Yes,
How
it
are
is.
you?
It is. Good afternoon to you, Jevon. I am great. Good, ready.
Why didn't we choose this as a career? This is kind of fun. They got
I
all the
know.
cameras. You get to go 3, 2, 1, talk about stuff. I mean, if I could make some money doing this would be
Well, there
good.
actually are people that make big money doing this.
See, I know. I think I should have chosen a different career path.
Yeah, well, it's not too late. You can take this career on the road. There's folk
True.
that just jumped into it just in the recent years that are making big money. You just have to
There you go.
get.
Yeah.
We have to get up the. We have to increase the viewership.
Yes, that's what it is.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm super excited about today's thing. We're going to call it the 4 Ps.
Okay.
And they are, well, I don't know if I should. Yes, we'll just tell you. So the 4 Ps are.
You're gonna keep it a secret from them.
Yeah, right. So I
Okay,
developed
four
the four
P's.
Ps back in the day to help people figure out what investments to choose when they're in a retirement plan. And
Okay.
I think I might have given you a little bit of a false premonition, we can use another P word, for exactly what that is, because I think you might have thought I was saying how to choose an investment.
Ah,
And that's not
okay.
what I was saying. I was
Okay.
saying how to choose an investment inside your retirement plan.
Retirement plan. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
inside the retirement plan.
Okay.
So, got 4 Ps, and I think you'll recognize some of them. You'll go, I see what he's doing, and then that'll be it, and we'll go from there. So first, how about if I read your bio, and
Okay.
we
Are
will
we are we
go
using a
from there.
whiteboard today? Or not using a whiteboard today.
I don't think we're gonna. Yeah. Tempting as that whiteboard is, because I do like to. If you haven't noticed by now, I do like the attention. So
Okay.
I don't. It is something
Oh,
I
wait,
can
wait,
do.
wait, wait. Before we get started, did
Yeah,
you have a birthday this weekend?
I did. I had a
Well, happy
birthday.
birthday.
Yes.
You didn't even
Thank
say
you
a
very much.
word until I went on Facebook to find it. Well,
I
happy
did.
birthday, Javon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was quite the occasion. I'm glad I survived it. It was
Oh, well,
quite the
good. Well,
occasion.
I'm
It
glad you had
started
a
out.
good time and then
Oh, I
you
had a
enjoyed it.
great time. A great time. And just in case anyone wants to send money,
Okay.
my birthday lasts for at least a month. I'm just
Okay.
claiming the whole month.
The whole month.
Yes, I'm not shy about that at all. The whole month is fine.
Oh, did you do anything special? Go anywhere special?
I did something special. I just for me actually. I
Hmm.
went to dinner with some friends of mine. So, and of course, had a cigar afterwards. And
Okay.
but it was the friends that were really important. They're people that I don't get to see. They called up and said, "Hey, whatever you're doing, we're coming." And I said, "Great! It's my birthday. Let's go." And we went to a wonderful restaurant. We had fantastic service. We had a really good bottle of wine, a wonderful steak. It's one of the best steaks I've had in a long time, and I'm so picky. And
Okay.
we'll say that politely. I'm so picky. And then just a great night afterwards, and met some really cool people, and just thoroughly enjoyed the evening, and got home safely. And so all in all, a good evening.
Well,
Very
good, good. I was down in your neck of the woods on Saturday. I went to Javier's in Newport
really,
Beach.
and you didn't
Uh,
say hey. What's up with that?
and then I came back up, and my other friends, I had one friend that I was meeting down in Newport Beach for at Javier's, and then I went and met some more friends at Kobe's in Seal Beach,
Oh,
and
okay.
we listened to a little music. I guess there's a band music there. I just kind of dropped in on them, and then came
Well,
back to LA.
you were all up in my neck of the woods,
I
because I go
was.
to I like Kobe is like a stone's throw from here,
Okay.
and then Javier's, people have been threatening to take me there, to go there. So that's right around the corner as well. So yeah, you
Yeah,
were all up in my neck of the
I
woods. Well,
was.
see how the Southerners live. You got the all Northerners up there in L.A.
I know.
Think you got
Well,
it
at
going on. That's
Javier's, it was
probably
like
not
a
going
fashion
so.
show.
Uh-huh.
Javier's Newport Beach was like a fashion show, but I think I've been to the one in Irvine. I think that one's like a
Yeah,
fashion show as well.
it is. It is that. It's a place to be seen. It is. It is indeed.
Yeah,
So that's a good place to. It's amazing that people actually eat there because it's such the fashion show.
it's such the fashion show.
It really is. Yeah.
But it was fun. It was. I had a good time.
Good deal. Good deal.
Hmm.
Okay, so let
All
me read the
righty.
bio, and then
Okay.
we'll kick this puppy off.
All righty.
Alrighty. So, please, everyone, welcome my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. Crystal is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's a co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, a weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, Nifty, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Welcome, Crystal Mitchell. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha. Okay, so here we go. The 4 P's of choosing an investment inside your retirement plan.
Okay.
Most retirement plans that I know of, and as of course you know, please jump in and
Okay.
maybe get a hankering. But most retirement plans that I know have between, I don't know, 15 to 20 investments plus what we call a target date fund.
Okay.
And as you know, we can talk about target date funds later on the show. But as you know, I am not a huge fan of them, but I definitely understand their need. I think they are a necessary evil.
Mm.
So, and I don't want to say that disparagingly. I just want to say that there's another alternative besides them, as most people know. But I will also say that some very, very, very smart people that I know of use target date funds and
Okay.
are completely happy with them. So I do not want to talk bad about them. But if you want to control your own destiny, that is, you want to get in, find out what stocks and bonds are, and what's index and what's not index. If you want to really get in there and not necessarily be a guru about this, but have a level of understanding where you feel comfortable about what's going on, if that's your deal,
Mm-hmm.
then choosing your own investments, I think, is the best way to go. And it can be daunting because there are so many things to choose from. And the words, I think sometimes we make this investment thing a little bit more complicated just for job security. But
Mm.
for
Mm.
the for the person that wants to just sort of figure this out, I've got a tool, and I call it the 4 P's.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first P is what we call product. So if you need, and we're kind of going to go back to last week where we looked at the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pull that up? Do you know if I can do that? Can I pull
I
that up?
think we saved it under the whiteboard.
Under the whiteboard. Let's see
I
here.
think we saved it.
Can I do it like this? Let's see. Well, that's not where. Oh. Let's see.
See if my little, what did I do with my little drawing? That wasn't on here.
Oh, let's see now. That's not it, is it? Let's see.
Wherever your white, wherever
The
was
white.
that a software you were
Here
using for
we
whiteboard?
go. Can you see that?
Not yet. You haven't. You have to share.
Oh, here we go. Let's try to share that. Share screen. Nope, not that one. There we go. Can you see that?
Not. Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yes. There we go.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, um, if man, that is some horrible penmanship. Goodness gracious. Oh my.
Considering that it was your first time, I think it was okay.
Oh, they're so kind. Goodness gracious. Oh, mercy, mercy. Well, now, didn't we do? Oh, okay. And so if you look at the one in the middle, let's do that where we have
The blend or the one, that one right there. Yeah.
right here. So we have the C is corporate and the G is government. This is for our fixed equity or bonds. The
Mm-hmm.
six. So we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at, okay, I've got to choose a short term, one for S here, short term corporate bond or government bond. And I've
Right.
got a bunch to choose for because back in the day when I first started this, we'd have 40, 50 chance, 40 or 50 options to choose from.
Oh.
How do you make that decision? And I promised that I would not get over involved with the whiteboard. So I'm just going to X out of that right here, right now, because it's so tempting. So, how do you choose that short term corporate or government bond fund? So, the way to do it is to use the four P's. And the first P is product. So, if you're looking at your list, you've got 50 options to choose from, and you're looking at your list of
Mm-hmm.
options, and you've only got one short term corporate bond fund, then you choose it. I mean, you need to have it in your mix in your six. So just choose it. Don't fret about it. If you need it, just choose it. That's what we call. That's what I'm going to call product. If you've only got
Okay.
one, stick it in there. That's what
Okay.
product. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need to fill up. Remember, all six of the
Those
uh,
boxes.
bonds, right,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
all nine of the stock ones. So
Okay.
don't make it too much more complicated. But then the option comes, okay, now I've got two or more. How do I choose? How do I choose? So I know I need, let's say, a short term government or corporate bond fund. I've got three to choose from. How do I choose? Well, the second P, there's four P's. The second
Mm-hmm.
P is people. So
Okay.
uh, every summary plan description, or if you go online and you're looking at the fund options, every explanation of the fund options will have the people that are running the fund. And I think that's very important. So I would say take a look at the people and their experience and see which one resonates from you. Don't get caught up in this one's been around longer, so it must be better. That is not the case. Don't get caught up in these people have been doing this longer, so that's better. Do not do that because it all depends on a person's or a group's talent. I would say we've got one person versus a group. Okay, that's a deciding factor, however it is that you like.
Mm-hmm.
It should tell you a little bit about their background, where they came from, and then see if that resonates with you, right? So uh,
Okay.
the second P is people. Who's actually running the business? What kind of experience do they have? Okay,
So we're looking at experience and we're looking at their background.
right. Experience, background, and don't fall into the trap of more experience equals better performance or more experience equals better fun. That's not the way that goes. If you happen to like people from the Northeast and the person is from the Northeast, maybe that's a good match for you,
Okay.
right?
So more
So,
just of your philosophies than
yes, exactly.
than
That's
than than their experience. Long as that you guys have some, your thinking is on the same line.
that's a great way to put it. Great. I like that. P, philosophy. Another P word. Another P word.
Ah.
So we got the first is product, second is people. The third one is price. If you've got three to choose from, and they're all three the same kind of fund, you've got three corporate bond funds, they're all short-term bond funds, and all the people look the same. They all went to the same school. They all have the same amount of experience. They all come from the same place. They all have, they're all teams, let's say. Then the third P is price. Choose the one that's cheaper because you can buy more of it, right? I would say it doesn't mean that it's better than the other ones, but you have to make a decision someplace. So choose the one that is less expensive because you get to buy more. And we know at the end of the day that you want to buy as many quote unquote types of funds as you can. And so the least, the more inexpensive, the least expensive, the better. Make sense?
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, because you'll always
get
have
more
the
of
price.
it.
You get more of it. Exactly. That's a great way to put that. Okay. Now this is the one that really ticks a lot of people off, but I stand by it. The last P is performance. And I put it there last for a reason. And that is we cannot determine the performance in the future by the performance in the past. Right? So if you see something that has a track record of stellar performance, there's nothing that suggests that last year was going to be anything like next year, or the last 10 years is going to be like the next 10 years, right? So performance always goes up and down. And that's why you'll hear those little remarks / epitaphs after every investment. Past performance does not suggest future performance. You cannot do that. Performance goes up and down. Some advisors will say every dog has its day. It's gonna come around sometime for that day.
Right.
The real kicker here is your amount of stocks versus bonds. That's the big one. The specific ones that you have inside that mix, that's just icing on the cake. It's not the real deal, Holyfield. The real deal is your mix of stocks and bonds that's appropriate for you. So the last thing you want to look at is performance. Now that's a very ballsy thing for me to say. Can I say that on the thing? That's a very interesting thing for me to say.
You can. It's your show.
Okay.
That's what Bill Maher said. This is my show. I can say whatever I want.
That's a very interesting thing to say because often I'll write investment policy statements for retirement plans. And we have a template that I use. And I write it up, and I always get a little sketchy when I write it because it talks about performance lagging after so many years. I mean, like if you're the investment manager, if you're the plan sponsor of an organization, you're the HR person, you're the CFO, maybe you're the CEO, it's your decision to decide which funds are going to go into the investment mix. And even more importantly, sometimes it's your decision to decide which investments are going to come out, which investments aren't making the grade. And so you need some type of rule book. And typically, many advisors will go and take a look at performance. Well, they'll say, we've got a 1, 3, 5, and 10-year track record here. And this fund performed this way in year 1, this year 3 years ago, this year 5 years ago, this year 10 years ago. So over the long haul, this fund has performed well or not well compared to another fund, right?
Okay.
So very common expression or common conversation. And I think it's absolutely off track. And I know I'm going to get cards and letters about this, but I think it's very off track because a fund that goes down when the market goes down, that just makes sense, right? And a fund that goes up when the market goes up, well, that just makes sense too. So when you're looking at large companies and their funds, not only are large companies manipulating those funds so that it never goes down too far because they change it out and turn it into something else, or they take the money and put it somewhere else. You really can't say that, well, 5 years ago, this fund on average did extremely well, because that doesn't really break the years down for you. But you certainly cannot say that the last 5 years are going to be like the next 5 years. So even though this fund had a 10-year record of great performance, it may not perform well at all for the next 10 years,
Mm.
right? You can't
Mm-hmm.
say that it will. Just like with the folks that are managing the fund, they may have an investment philosophy that worked really, really well for the last 10 years. That doesn't mean that it's going to work well for the next 10 years. And innovations happen all the time. So a fund that had great or stellar performance for the first 10 years of its life may run into situations where that particular way of deciding things, that particular mathematical um, allocation, or that particular way of bringing things about, may
Mm-hmm.
not be correct. You know, and especially in a world where things are changing so dynamically. You know,
Right.
if we take a look at the difference between someone's life 100 years ago and now, or even in your and my lifetime, I'm a little bit older than you, but 50 years ago, we didn't even have cell phones.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. And
They
now
didn't
that
even know
has,
what the internet was.
right, right. And I can even remember I did search and rescue when I was in high school, and we would say we just want to go out and get off the grid. Well, compared to the grid now, we didn't even have a grid. Like, get off the
But
grid.
what? But wait. But in Alaska, you literally can get off the grid.
You can get off the grid, yes. Yes, you can. Yes.
There is plenty getting off the grid in Alaska.
Yes, yes.
But no,
And
you're absolutely
I do remember leaving my mother's house and letting her know I'd be back for Sunday, because I'm not missing Sunday dinner. I mean,
okay.
I'm not doing that. So,
So the grid had boundaries.
yeah, most definitely,
I'm running
most
away from
definitely.
home, but I'll be back for dinner.
Be back for dinner now. Don't get it twisted. So, so anyway, so yeah, so you have to be careful with performance, I think, because I don't think it's a good indicator of future performance. So what are you going to do if you're the fund manager and you see this fund going down, and you're like, well, what should we do? And you take a look at all the other funds and they're going down. Okay, now here, if your fund is going down and all the other funds are going up, oh, well, now that's an issue. If your
Yeah.
fund is performing at a mediocre level while the other funds are up, that's something you want to talk about, right? Why
Mm.
is that happening? Because now you get into the nuts and bolts and the story of that fund. Oh, so, well, this fund invests primarily in technology. This fund invests primarily in non-technology sectors. Okay, now that's a difference. Okay, now that is a reason to decide, okay, I want none of one or more of another, or a combination of both, or something like that. Where
Okay.
that fund puts its money, that I like to see the sound. That we can sink our teeth into. But
Mm.
performance, as an indicator, I think is a very, very, very slippery slope to go down. And
Ah.
it's
Okay.
not a way to win the battle. It's not a way to win
Okay.
the battle. So those are the 4 P's. Number one, product. If it's the only one in the mix, and you need it, stick it in. Doesn't matter what
Okay.
the performance is, put it in.
Okay.
Number two, people, which I think is may be the most may be the most important. Take a look at the people that are running the fund. What's their experience? Where are they? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Number three, price.
Hmm.
Like you so eloquently suggested, buy a lot of them if you can, right? The cheaper they
Hmm.
are, the more you can buy. So that's a good thing, right?
Hmm.
And then of course, lastly, and I do say this lastly, take a look at performance. And even when you're looking at performance, I would slice and dice that performance as much as you can and get right down to where does that fund invest its money if you have to.
So when you're looking at a fund's so like right now, right? It's
Mm,
been up, it's been up and down for the last, I mean, the stock market's been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right?
yep.
Um, do you have to go back, say like 2, 3 years, to see if it's always been a kind of like a downfall, or have, we're looking at their peaks and their valleys, so to speak. Um,
Okay, great question, but that's old way thinking, I think. That's
oh, okay.
thinking like, okay, what's the history?
So we
What's
don't
the
want to think
history of
history.
uh,
Okay.
the problem with history is that nothing about history suggests they're going to do it again because the times
Mm,
change on us. Yesterday
okay.
is not like tomorrow. I wish I could say, okay, I really do wish I could say, hey, this fund has a long term history of outperforming its peers. How long is that? 5 years, 10 years. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. What do you think about the last 10 years is going to be the same as the next 10 years?
Mm,
And why would these guys be able to adapt and make it happen? Because most of us are creatures of habit.
mm,
We get into a habit and we stay there, right? But
mhm.
next year is going to be dramatically different. So if everything else is not working, then we can go and take a look at that history, right? If I just need if they're not the only one around, if the people are the same, if
Mhm.
the price is the same, okay, now let's look at past performance. But
Mm.
we have to be careful because past performance doesn't indicate future performance. It just doesn't.
And especially now.
Yeah, especially now. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay. Okay.
Performance, that's dangerous.
So then it's performance in the now and not going back too far back based upon what's happening.
Yeah, I would say, and I don't want to talk out both sides of my mouth. If everything else is similar, if everything else is the same,
Mhm.
and you have two options to choose from, at that time you can take a look at performance. But you have to be careful, right? And going back 10 years,
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
I know we have it there, but I'm like, 10 years? I don't know what color the sky is going to be 10 years from now. I don't, right? So judging a fund by how it did 10 years ago is not doing me a whole lot of good, especially since you could have a fund get on the market tomorrow that could be fantastic for the next 5 years.
Right, 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 right.
Okay. So you really can't look at performance. And
Now,
that runs counterintuitive to the way people think.
to think. Now, do you think, even though my investments are within my retirement plan, how much outside, reading should I do, far as maybe, not like a financial advisor like yourself, pour over the Wall Street Journal, but I be just observing what's happening in the world when it comes to the stocks that I have purchased or that are actually in my retirement plan?
It's an interesting question, and I'll tell you why. Because even though we're investing inside your retirement plan, many of the theories that we use are based on investments outside the retirement plan. So the first answer to that question is knowledge is power, right? So the more knowledge you have, the better. But at some point, you have to go and feed the cat. So I think you have to be careful about getting into the nitty gritty. The second thing I would say is we're talking about investing in mutual funds. There are over 7,500 mutual funds out there. So the
Okay.
chances that you're going to, I think the number is over 8,000 now. So the chances that you're going to the chances that your financial advisor is going to pick the 15 best ones out of 8,000, and then that those 15, you're going to pick the best ones in each of those categories, pretty slim.
Okay.
So what we're looking at is instead of a specific issue or specific fund, looking at a philosophy of how we're going to get this done. And most retirement plans follow the philosophy of a well diversified portfolio with the right mix of stocks and bonds, right? And there's a name for it. I'm not sure. I suppose I could say it on the TV, on the thing here. It's called modern portfolio theory,
Okay.
which suggests that dollar cost averaging over a long period of time with the right mix of stocks and bonds is going to yield superior results. It does not say choosing the right large cap fund is going to garner the best return, or choosing the best small cap, or making sure that the bond fund you choose is the best performer. It doesn't say that. It
Okay.
says modern portfolio theory is a well diversified portfolio with the right mix, 80-20, 40-60 mix of stocks and bonds that's appropriate for you. And I would have to say that inside my little world of retirement plans, that you could probably carry that forward outside the world. But my colleagues that work outside of retirement plans would say we've got a lot more variables to choose from and a lot more things to take a look at, because they're looking at different investment options. Many folks are looking at that individual stock. I'm looking at a basket of stocks or a basket of funds or a combination that has 50, 150 different stocks slash bonds in there. So the difference between looking at one issue, one particular stock, and a basket that has 150 of them, and mind you, not only am I looking at a basket that has 150 stocks, I'm looking at 15 to 17, maybe 18 of those baskets. I'm
Okay.
spreading some stuff out, right? So the rules that apply in the aggregate sort of apply in the singular and vice versa, but the environment's different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah. It's just, the amount is so vast.
It is. But we
And
also, no, go ahead.
and I would imagine because it's so vast, then the fluctuation is high, much higher. I mean, even if you did think you found that right one, tomorrow it could be something entirely different.
Exactly. Which
Okay.
is the beauty of life, right?
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Right.
It doesn't feel like fun when you're losing money, but that's the that's
That's why you
that
can't look
is the
every
fun,
day.
right? And we know folks, they make a living on choosing the right group of funds for someone to invest in. And we know folks that, marriages break up because someone is so clued into their investments that they can't see straight and they get stressed out, and it's grim when if we stick with modern portfolio theory, we're not going to hit the cover off the ball. But over time, we're going to do extremely well. And the theory is manage markets rather than individual investments. Individual investments are tough. It's kind of like, okay, where's that raindrop going to go?
Right.
Rather, we know where the ocean is. It's over there. We know what the ocean does. It comes in and it goes out. We can time that. We can predict that. We know what's up. The individual drop of water, that's tough. I don't know where that's going to go. If it's going to go sink, float, I don't know about that. But I do know that the ocean goes in and out. I do know where to go on the beach. I do know how to handle that thing in the aggregate. In the singular, it's tough. Make
Okay.
sense?
That makes perfect sense, sir.
I'm glad you like that. I just thought of that ocean thing versus the raindrop.
Ocean does go in and out
They go up
every
and down
day.
every day,
It even has a time schedule.
right? And we still go to the beach. So, even when a client leaves me, I really feel bad for them. I mean, it's not pretty for me. I mean, it is assets that are leaving me. But
Right.
if they leave me because they have a different investment philosophy, or because, which is cool because I'm not the guru. I don't have that many letters after my name.
Uh-huh.
If they leave because they think they can choose individual funds better based on past performance or something like that, or if they leave because they're scared, then we have to look at and say, okay, the times that you go to the beach that a hurricane occurs and throws everything out of whack
Right.
are pretty slim. And then once the hurricane is over, it goes back to going in and going out, and we can time it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather, and this is pretty key, I would rather put my money on the market going in and out than trying to find that individual raindrop. I would rather be able to, because those things we can predict that, and predictability is key. Right? We know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on there. Now, am I suggesting that someone should never invest in individual stocks? That you should only invest in mutual funds and you should only invest in that modern portfolio theory? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is for your retirement plan, maybe for this is for your long-term investment. And so I heartily encourage people to have a retirement plan investment strategy, have an investment strategy for their kids' education, an investment strategy for having a good time with the money with their spouse, whatever it is, have that strategy. And where long-term investing and dollar cost averaging works, put it to use and don't worry about it. You're gonna be a lot better off than chasing that one stock.
Right, exactly. No, I think that's great advice, and especially, and you know what, it always comes down to your experts, right? You guys, whoever, whatever area that is your expertise, you spend your time doing your research in that area, whereas those of us that are laymen looking on the inside, we don't have that expertise. And I think it's so important that people understand, you want to go to the people that that's the business they do, because
Yes.
they're on top of that business. It's like, you wouldn't go to a dentist to have back surgery because that's not his specialty.
No.
You're gonna
No.
go to a back surgeon or orthopedic surgeon because that's his specialty. So the same
Right.
thing, I think. I mean, all of that applies in life. Go to the people that spend 95% of their time on top of their craft.
It's so right. And I think another reason you have to be, because you are spot on, right? And we've seen so many situations like the one you were telling me about, where this lady trusted her accountant who invest other people's money, and suddenly not only did she lose money, she didn't know how much money she started with or what he was doing with it,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is a real tragedy. But I was going to
Mhm.
say that there's an expression that I heard that when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and so you
Mhm.
have to be careful with that. There are lots of folks out there. They're great advisors. Oh my gosh, they know how to tell you about life insurance, and they know exactly what you can do with it and the different kinds. And I don't go to them to get. I'm not out of my 401k world. No, 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 no.
Mhm.
No, that's not appropriate. And so the folks that I work with, when they have a question about retirement plans and they have a question about the market going up and down and they sell life insurance, they come to me to see, how does this 401k thing work? How do I advise my client to make the most money in this arena?
Mhm.
Just this arena. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's great, because if you come to talk to me about life insurance, it's going to be a really short conversation.
Abbreviated.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I'll start with, it's spelled life, LIFE. That's pretty much what I got.
That's all. Yeah, that's what you got. Yeah, no. But again, it's all about the expertise, and it's about the amount of time an individual is putting into their craft. And I think when you talk about who are the people behind it, in addition to, them having a philosophy that meets your philosophy, if you're a conservative or if you like more risk or what have you, but you also want to make sure that they've spending adequate amount of time working in their craft and that they truly understand that craft.
I think so, although you have to be careful. I think you're spot on because tenure is a good thing, but it's not the end all be all.
No,
You
it's
know,
not. It's not. It's not.
one of
Because
these,
even people get stuck. People get stuck in ruts, right?
they do.
And even as a, I think the best thing I like about what I do is because I teach, I'm always looking for new information to interject in
Right,
my teachings, right? So I
right,
have to stay current and on top. I can't
right,
teach the
right,
same subject over and over
right,
and over again.
right.
So it keeps me on top because I always have to go back and research. But there's some other coaches out there that this is the format that they've always used, and this is the format they're using for everyone. And some of their clients have come to me, and I'm gleaming my information from my initial my interview, and then I'm thinking, you had a coach before you got here? Really? Okay. And not to despair any of them. I go, oh, okay, well, had you thought about this? And
Mhm.
maybe let's take a look at this angle versus not in replace of, but let's look at this angle, and then you can take a look at both sides and see which one really will get you to what your end goal is. But I've noticed that
Yeah,
if they're just coaching and they're not doing teaching, whatever information that worked 5 years ago, they're still kind of pushing that same philosophy. And of course, foundations don't change. Foundations
right.
are what they are, but you do
Exactly.
have to make
Exactly.
adjustments
Excuse me.
based
Exactly.
upon what's happening in the world that we live in today.
Very true. Very
Yeah.
well said. And going back to people, because I think that's incredibly important. Um, Sometimes things just don't mix. Like I am the kind of advisor where I'm going to help you make a decision. I'm not the kind
Hmm.
of advisor that's going to tell you what to do. I think
Okay.
it's in my world where I live, um, when it comes to retirement plans, I actually think it's unethical to tell someone what to do specifically.
Hmm.
It goes against everything I've ever said or everything I've ever learned or done. Now, guiding someone through a process of making a decision, this I do wholeheartedly, right?
Okay.
Um, so I'll talk about stocks and bonds and large cap and mid cap and uh, people that are able to see the ocean from their office window and counting containers going in and studying fig leaves or whatever, whatever it is. I'll talk about that all day. But if you're the kind of person that wants me to tell you where to put your money inside your retirement plan, it's not going to work. I've lost friends and family members over that, I just think it's unethical to do that, right?
Mm.
You got to step up and make the decision. Now, some people will say, "I'll just tell you how to do it," and that scares me. So lots of my colleagues will just look at someone and say, "How old are you?" 25. Oh, this. Here's what you need to do. You're old enough. It's fine. You're going to be able to recover. You don't know. You don't know. You know.
No, you
And
don't know.
and
Uh-uh.
people change, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm. And
uh,
situations and circumstances change.
yeah, so I mean, we'll
Hmm.
talk about target date funds later, but I have friends of mine. It's very interesting. I have a friend who is extremely conservative, and he's 20 years my junior. And I look at this person and go, "You don't need to be as conservative as you are." And he says, of course, "I just don't want to lose money. I just don't want to do
Mm,
it. Just
mm,
don't want to do it." So and he knows I don't have to make a bunch of money. So for him, an investment that is not FDIC insured is a leap. So for him, that FDIC insurance and something extremely stable is a great combination. He can sleep at night. He can go out and go hiking. He can rest easy. He
Mm-hmm.
can plan his future. He knows he's not going to have, because he's not taking the risk, he knows that he's
Right.
not going to get the reward, but he's going to get where he needs to get.
Mm.
That's fine. I Great. That's cool. How do I help you do what's best for you? I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally cool with that. So I talk with him about IULs, and I talk with him about um, warranties, and we talk about all kinds of things that can help him, can guide him through that labyrinth of investments that are dramatically more conservative than some of my other clients.
Mm.
We all know the deal. We know what's up, right?
Right.
And that's fine. That's I'll do that all day. That's fine. There's no problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, again, it always comes down to them because, at the end of the day, something happens, they have to be the one, I think, that has to make that final decision. Is their money, and
It is.
they know their, like you always say, their risk tolerance. They know what they can handle and what they cannot handle. Because
Yeah.
more than likely they haven't told. No one comes in and telling you the 100% truth, especially if they have done something um, a little off base back in the past, and they got burnt
Right.
really bad, and they don't want to tell
Right.
you about the fact that they
Right.
sunk their entire savings.
And it happens too. Um, Someone will choose an investment because they heard from someone at their church, which is one of the reasons why we started this. Someone well intentioned
Yeah.
said something that applied to them in a specific situation at that time.
Right.
And someone will hear that information and extrapolate that for their life for however long they think it's appropriate, right?
Right.
And so they've got misinformation for today by
Mhm.
someone who may not even be listening to, may not even been talking to them. They just
Mhm.
overheard that.
Mhm.
And then they try to apply it. And then when it goes south, now they're pissed off and they don't know what's wrong. And there's nothing worse, I think, than not knowing, not being able to understand what happened when things go wrong in this market. That feeling that people get of helplessness when they say, I did everything I was supposed to do. What happened? Well,
Mhm.
why would I want to put someone in that position? Why? That's
Yeah.
a
Right.
horrible
Exactly.
place to be. You know, um, I've been in that position with my car. I'm driving the car. I put the gas in. I change the oil, and it doesn't go.
Right.
I'm pissed.
Right.
This is not good.
Right.
So I go
Exactly.
to the mechanic, and he says, "Well, you have to take the car out of gear, and then it'll go." Ah, all right.
That's simple, but you're absolutely right. So when it's yours, and I think, especially when we're talking retirement, because it doesn't just affect you, it affects your family. And I think we've talked about this. This is a family decision because um, husband and wives need to have very, candid conversations with one another. Because if one is incapacitated, and depending on the assumption or the information that's being delivered to them by the spouse, and something happens to that spouse,
Yep.
uh right, and they don't even know who you, the retirement plan advisor, is. They don't know anything, and that happens a lot. So
Oh yeah.
everyone having knowledge of who is handling your money, who's advising, and who are the representatives, that if something happens to a spouse, and things happen. I mean, look during the pandemic. No, things happen so quick. You didn't even have time to get your affairs in order, or to find out, because here your husband or your wife were on a ventilator, and they don't even let you come to the hospital to even have conversation with them, if they could have had conversation. So now
Right.
things are happening, and you don't know where the first place to start.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's really tough. You know, you do have to have, like you said, I don't know how I could elevate that comment that you made, but you have to have the conversation. You most certainly do. That's a very eloquent way to put it, and I love the way you put that. It happens quick. You know, your spouse feels a little sick, and next thing you know, they're on a ventilator, and the next thing you know, they're on a ventilator alone, and they're worried not only about surviving, but if they don't survive, how are the kids going to be taken care of? And now, why would you want to put someone you love in that position? You have to
Exactly.
get that stuff done. You really
Right.
just do. You know,
You really truly do.
you
So
really need to get that
if so understanding all the components of it, and don't just leave it in the hands of one individual.
done. Yeah, and I've coined this phrase. You know, do you trust your financial advisor enough to get a second opinion?
Mm,
And I think that's incredible. I have no problem people say taking what I say to some other advisor and say, "What do you think about that? Does that make sense to you?" And I have no
mm-hmm.
problem saying doing that for another advisor. Someone says, "You know what? I talked to Jevon," and if Jevon says, "I'm right," then come on back. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I don't think anybody would, right?
Mm-mm.
Because
Mm-mm.
everybody's not the same, right? So getting a second opinion is never a bad idea.
No, because you want to know what's right. You want to know
Yeah,
that it's going to work. You want to know, and even then, it's a validation for you to
exactly.
know that, okay, yeah, I gave them good advice, and they're in good hands. They wouldn't got a second opinion. They're comfortable. I'm comfortable. Everything is good. Life is
It was
good.
good. Yeah, yeah, everything's good.
Being in the dark is not what one wants to do.
It's not good, and we
Mm-mm.
just can't afford it now. I mean, and I can see, you know, it's a little bit off topic, but I can see how it feels like our lives are more and more complex, and there are more and more things that we need to worry about, and there are many things that we just don't want to worry about. And there was a time back in the day when we didn't have those worries. Like, for example, 200 years ago, did you need to have a life insurance policy? Well, they didn't exist, so you really didn't need to have one.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. So we didn't have to think about that. Did you need to worry about educating your kids? Well, Harvard hadn't started yet. So
Mm-hmm.
you really don't need that, right? You didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
think about what that cost is going to be. Um, or, you know, you have, you have which phone should you buy your children, and what, you know, and what age should you give it to them? Well, I don't know, 50 years ago, we didn't have to make that decision. So, you know, so things have become more complex, and I get it. Becoming an adult is it can be tough because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things you have to decide, and this is one of those
Yeah.
things. You have
A
to take
lot
care
of
of them.
moving parts.
Yeah, you got to have those conversations. That's just the way it is.
I completely agree. Awesome topic.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. What are we going to talk about next week? I've never asked
um,
you.
well, let's see. Is there a third part to this one, or so we talked about the
We
growth
talked about
funds and
stocks or equity. We talked about fixed income, what we can be referred to as bonds. We talked
okay,
about the way to pick them. That was the third in the series. That was number three right there.
okay.
Yeah. Unless you
Well,
have
we
another number three that I don't know about, and
no,
that can
I don't have
happen.
a number. I don't have a number three or number four. No, I think this was good. A nice little series. We have to pick another series that we
We'll have to
can.
pick another series. We'll have to talk with
Yeah.
you about what that is.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. So hope you guys have taken notes. Go back and look at the videos there that are on YouTube channel.
Yes.
Okay. You gonna tell us
Yes.
which
They're on
YouTube
my. Are
channel
they
are
not on
they?
your YouTube? Are they on your? They're on your YouTube
Well,
channel.
should be on both, mine and yours. Actually, I think we should have a YouTube channel that's Conversations on the Patio.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. We should. I didn't even think I didn't even go there. See, sometimes things are not even in your radar.
Yeah.
That's a very good idea.
Right.
Because people are like, there's 4 Jevon Thomases. Which one are you? I'm the Baldwin. Or, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, there's 3 other Baldwins. Well, which one are you? So I think we can solve that by having a conversation on the patio one.
Yes, we can do that. I'll start
Okay.
working on that. We can do
Okay.
that. That's
Then they will be housed there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then a person can follow the series. But
Yeah.
today's
Why didn't you
conversation
tell me
was,
that earlier?
well, I don't know. Because we've now grown and evolved to who we are.
Oh, okay. There we go. That is the right
And
answer.
I think we are flowing now.
Now we're flowing.
Yeah, we're flowing.
Good. I like it.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let me read your bio one more time and then you can take us out. How's that?
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. So, everyone, please say hello to my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. She is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's a co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, a co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that other online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Thank you for spending some time with me and all of our friends, Crystal.
No, and thank you. It's been great. Today was a great topic. We talked about the 4 P's of investing inside of your retirement plan. And those were, for a recap, product, people, price, and performance. So all very important. So you guys got to come back and listen to the show to get the details of it. But remember, it's really important to be fully knowledgeable of what's happening within your plan so that you know that your retirement is as secure as possible. But don't leave it all up to someone else doing it for you, and you just find out about it later, and later might be too late.
Well
like
said.
the day you're retiring might be too late.
Maybe just a little
A little bit. All right, guys. So it's been great. So come back next week for the next conversation on the patio about your retirement plan.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.